Hi, this is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I have Heather Monahan. She is an author. She's a podcaster. She is an entrepreneur, an incredible, non-self-proclaimed like me salesperson. So thanks for coming on the Playbook. This is going to be an extraordinary Playbook because confidence is your specialty. And I can't think of a better thing to have than confidence, because I believe that confidence is the connector, the halfway point to inspiration, that when we're in the flow, that it cannot occur before we have clarity, balance, and focus, which is confidence. And so most people that focus in on confidence or specialize in confidence have had some sort of challenges, resistance, or voids in their life. And I know you and I both grew up with a single mom and work ethic mom, I would call her. And so where did your focus become on confidence, and how did that occur? What challenges happened to you?
Getting fired from corporate America after 20 years, shattering the glass ceiling, reaching the top of the top in media, and really attaching a lot of self-worth to that title and my income and what I believed I had created. And then in my eyes, that was taken away from me, and not rightfully so in that moment. However, I didn't know that was the push I need. I should have quit years prior to that, but I was scared. And I was being driven so much by my paycheck and money that I was losing sight of what else was out there in the world and possible to me. And in that moment when I got fired, I hit my bottom and said, how can I bounce back from this? How can I create real confidence, not paycheck confidence? And that's where I rebuilt myself. And I realized through my life experiences, I knew how to do it. I just had never pushed myself to this level to break through that fear and make that leap.
It's interesting because you've been bullied, you've been harassed, which has created a shift in your energy early on of your worthiness, of your own confidence. We start believing what other people think about us, and what we hear, what we think, what we say becomes what we believe, and even an unconscious competency. There is a difference. I have 3 teenage daughters, so I deal in confidence and empowerment a lot. And although it's difficult because I don't think it's gender biased. I think in certain situations, like in the workforce, it's completely gender biased because it's run by white males. And I'm maybe one of the few people that will admit it, but look at the numbers, right? And I want my daughters to know that corporate America is run by white males at this time, and that in order to change it, it's going to take some empowered women, some empowered minorities to understand that they're equal, if not better than everyone. But
and some empowered men to create opportunities.
Right. And exactly, because it's not separation, right? It's actually something that we can do together. But moreover, confidence is a problem, though, outside of corporate America,
Sure.
Regardless of where it is. It's a huge problem that people don't even realize that they don't feel worthy. In fact, when we met, I was late because of traffic, and I said, I'm sorry.
And I said, we do not apologize. And this is something I only learned in the past year, that when, especially as a woman, when I was apologizing for everything, I bumped into someone in the gym, I just did it as habit. I was always putting myself beneath others. And I learned the strategy that thanking others instead makes them feel positive. So instead, when you show up late, you say, thank you so much for your patience waiting for me. It means the world to join you today. Then I feel good, oh, that was nice of me. Good job, Heather. So you make that other person feel positive.
That is extraordinary. That's one takeaway. We talk about dropping bombs of wisdom. I've never thought about it. I'm a gratitude person.
You are.
But like, to be able to turn something, because I love to feel energetically when there is a shortage, there's a difference, there's a separation when you say I'm sorry, compared to the connection emotionally that we feel when you thank someone, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's I've never thought of that side of appreciation of the thing to say, instead of lacking worthiness, that let's raise the value, appreciate, once again, our relationship, and make it a form of appreciation, not depreciation or a lack of worthiness.
Or sometimes it can even just be saying, excuse me. And I use the gym. I did Barry's boot camp forever. And everyone's running for the weights, when you get off the treadmill, and everyone's bumping into everyone. And instead of saying, I'm sorry, I started saying, excuse me. And I felt so strong. It's such a small pivot, but it really helped me to start feel more confident.
What other things helped you feel more confident? Because you made a complete transformation, and I believe that energy that you carry has brought the successes that you have right now, and you can do whatever you want literally manifest whatever you want that you want, not what other people want for you.
You could not be, and I have to just share a couple of quick stories.
Please.
I didn't know how. Everyone says, "Oh, I knew you'd be successful, Heather. You've always been successful." That's what people say.
And then they ask you for money. Okay.
Yes. But, here's the problem. I knew I was successful in the lane I was in. That was corporate America and sales. I had grown up the social one. I was a great salesperson. This is where Heather belonged. I wasn't the smartest one. I wasn't the intellectual. I wasn't the writer. Right? So when people say, "Oh, I knew you were going to make it as a writer, an entrepreneur," I didn't. Newsflash, mic drop. I had no idea. I was petrified. And in fact, when I made that jump and said, "I'm not going to go back to corporate America right now," mind you, I made this decision under a weighted blanket, crying my eyes out. I was really scared. And I started writing, and I wrote that book, Confidence Creator, not knowing. And I showed my family, my innermost family, a couple of weeks before it was going to come out. And I knew the haters would come, but I never knew it ended up being my family that said, "Don't write this book. Don't publish this book. It's going to fail. You're going to be sued." And again, in that moment, I had another one of those go under the weighted blanket moments. What do I do? I'm questioning myself. Maybe they're right. They want to help me. And I called my editor, who had written 19 books. I had written 0 at this point, right? And I said, "Here's my concern." And he said, "Stop. Who did you write the book for?" And I said, "For that one person out there in the world that could help." And he said, "Okay, does this change any of that, Heather?" And I said, "No." He said, "Then let's move forward and publish the book." And it was that I knew the right person to call, who had had experience previously, was not emotionally attached to me or my message. And I got focused, centered, and I said, "Let's publish the book." And it was like that next leap of faith. And yeah, the book did really well, but it's been so much work to break through the noise and the clutter to get it there. And I realized all of that training I had in life as a salesperson is what made my book successful, because there's a million good writers out there, and you know this, but you have to be able to sell that book to get to the next level and break through to reach people.
It's interesting about writing books, and there's so many people that I coach or ask, how to write a book. We put on these definitions, and you're so careful with your words now. And I think it's interesting. I was listening to you, and you said, "Well, I'm not smart or intellectual or these things." And I always,
I believe I'm smart now. Yeah. I didn't used
to
believe.
You did.
I didn't see that in before.
I'm sorry, because you do. I know. But I think it's important for people to realize that, because I grew up with a hyper intellectual family, Ivy League siblings,
right,
5
and
of them.
You didn't go Ivy League.
Right, and they're all summa cum laude. My mom is an intellect, and my children still will say, "Well, I'm not as smart as so and so because they went to Harvard," and I'll say, "Well, slow down. Like, there's good students, right? There's intellect, there's EO, there's IO, and emotional intelligence, and all types of things that we have to take as variables. The last thing you want to do is tell yourself what you're not, because I believe when you tell yourself what you're not, or am, like I'm clumsy, you're manifesting clumsy. We all have the capability of being clumsy at times. We all have the capability of not understanding things, but none of us have a capacity to not understand anything. And so we all have this equality that if we work at something consistently and persistently, that we can expand and accelerate to different and varying degrees. So labeling ourselves is one of the harshest things. And we take on the labels that other people give us.
We choose to, or we choose not to. We choose to hand it back to them.
Correct. And explain that. How do you hand back a label to somebody?
Okay, so I had put myself, I'd allowed for this, to be the social one, to be the sales one, and not to be the writer or the, literary. And really going through deciding, okay, it's fear that's stopping me. I started to realize I could see it. I remembered for years in corporate America, I would say, I'm working in a situation I'm not happy in. I know I want to do other things, but I kept saying, oh, but I can't leave. I'm a single mother and I have to pay my mortgage. And I reflected on those moments. It had been happening for over a decade. It was fear. That was fear. Those were my excuses that I was creating, and I was just afraid to jump and to leap. And so for me, I realized other people were giving me their limiting beliefs, and I was accepting them, and then I was using those as excuses to keep myself held somewhere. I called it golden handcuffs is what I used to call it. And so when I decided to make that leap through fear and choose to see fear as a green light instead of a red light, which is really, questioning everything you were taught as a child. Because if you feel scared, go back. That's what I had been told, and protect yourself. And you don't want to, speak up too much, and you don't want to challenge the norm. And A students are the smart ones. I've learned now to question everything I've been told. And why not open your mind to maybe it's not just A students get ahead. Maybe B and C students are the right C-suite executives. And here's why. They learn to innovate. They learn to connect emotionally with people. They learn to sell. So I've really decided to question what I've been told my whole life and to reevaluate and now come at it from a place of confidence where I don't just accept what someone tells me, I dig deeper and I look more into me. And I had one of those really crazy moments when I create a lot of content on LinkedIn and have for a while. And a Harvard professor reached out to me on LinkedIn and he sent me a DM. And the first thing I did was I thought, oh my God, does Ashton Kutcher still have that punk show? Someone's screwing with me. I'm not the smart one. My sister is. And I Googled the guy and, I don't think Ashton has the show anymore. And the guy was legit a Harvard professor. So I DM'd the guy right back. Yes, let's set up a call. Thinking this is the craziest thing ever. And so we have a call and he says to me, Heather, we'd love to have you teach the class and be an adjunct professor at Harvard. And I can't believe it. So finally at the end, I'm acting, of course, yes. And I'm happy to be there and do this for you. But at the end I said, I have one question. And he said, what's that? I said, why me? And he said, really? I said, yeah. He said, the tremendous amount of success you've built in corporate America in revenue generation and sales and in leadership. And frankly, you're so different than any of the teachers we have here. We have very few women, no women your age, and no women with this type of background. It will bring such real life experience to my students that have none. And when I decided to see things through his eyes, I took Harvard off that proverbial pedestal that I had put it on and said, these are people just like you, just like me, and I can bring them different value and different expertise. And in fact, I'm excited to do it. And that was yet again another time in my life where I went to that next level. I got rid of those beliefs that I had been told I'm not the smart one. And I went to Harvard and taught the class and it went amazing. And I got great reviews and I was so proud of myself. And it was going through and taking that leap of fear and just saying, hey, I'm getting rid of what I used to believe and I'm instead of just owning who I am.
Exactly. Own who you are. Find your own frequency. That, ordinary is not extraordinary. And when you're extraordinary, you're finding your own frequency. And frequency has three different things to it. It has the strength of your signal, right? Which confidence, I think, empowers or powers the strength of your signal. The more confident you are in your frequency, the farther it's going to reach and the stronger it's going to impact people. Then you also have a spectrum of your frequency, which is how many different channels can tune into my frequency, right? Does the confidence creator in creating confidence, do they apply to a majority of women or just a certain age group or to all men and women and all races, right? We want to have a wide spectrum. And then finally, what I find confidence assists with is the clarity of our frequency. Because without confidence, and I know you were like this and so was I because we were salespeople, we are literally nobody. And I think I wanted everyone to love me. I wanted to please everybody. And I was so many different people because I wanted all those things. I was afraid to say what I thought. I mean, God forbid there was an election sometime because I was the biggest hypocrite at a party going, oh yeah, I really like that about him. Oh yeah, I like that about him. I like that about him, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, he's a stern Democrat. Oh no, he's a great Republican. Because, I was everything, right? And I think when we find our frequency, what we realize is, just in digital media alone, there's 4 billion people that we can reach. And that it's okay if 3.9 billion of them don't agree with us or know who we are. But if we could find that 100 million or, a billion even, that would just literally align with our frequency, we could change the world. And one of my favorite things as well, because we have the exact same childhood, the exact same profession, successes and everything.
Well, I'm not quite where you are yet. So
it's not a competition. I think you're past me. But it doesn't matter. I love the fact that I dreamed of going to Stanford. And undergrad, they rejected me for good reasons probably. But law school, I was qualified to go to. I was in that group, right? The short list that they decide from. And I got into Georgetown, but Stanford rejected me, which I love the fact that today I get to teach at these schools like Stanford.
Wild.
And you start out by saying, I just want to let you know that you guys rejected me for undergrad. And now I'm teaching you little shits, right? Like literally, but because I'm extraordinary. I'm an extraordinary person. I don't say that out of ego. I say it like literally, I'm just not ordinary, right? You could use other words for me, but I call it extraordinary. I just do things differently. We were tracing my calligraphies.
Yes,
That's not
that's
ordinary.
extra.
It's extra, right? And we both have the same philosophy of why we would trace calligraphies,
Yes.
right? No risk and it works.
Yeah, there's no downside to that. That's what I really like, that you just taught me something that I can try. That what's the worst that happens? I just took 5 minutes out of my day. Okay,
Right,
moving
for one
on.
time. And then, but I think confidence is something extraordinary. You know, that most people, they're attracted to somebody that's confident in themselves. It brings security to them. And I love saying no now. I guarantee when you were younger, I'm just taking a guess, that you were not a no person.
No.
Right? But now you are.
I didn't have boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries were as a kid. And that really caused me problems in relationships, at work, burnout, just feeling that 10 days after I gave birth, my CEO at the time called me and said, I need you to go to my alma mater and give a speech. Instead of saying in that moment,
You're crazy.
I believe that there is someone else that is in better physical and mental shape right now to take this trip. Who do you think that person is? And let's find a solution, which is what I would say right now if someone asked me that question. No, I said, yes, sir, and I'll be there, and I'm proud to do it. Because I didn't have boundaries and I didn't respect myself. I used to trick myself, and I hope this helps somebody out there, that I would say, I'm grateful for this job. Now, that was gratitude to me. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. No, that wasn't gratitude. That was a lack of self-respect and me hiding and not realizing it. Gratitude now for me is about coming at gratitude from a place of confidence, with boundaries, with self-respect, and then getting grateful and thankful for things. But it's not allowing me to hurt myself because people want and want and want from me.
Last question, and most important. You have this interesting process that I've realized in the short time that we've known each other, and I utilize the same tool. There is a transcoding that happens right now for you, where I can see you take what you would have said, and yet there's a new filter of how to phrase it appropriately.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now. You have to
So
educate
when you
me.
say, for example, the excuse me to thank you, right, the thank
Yes.
you, et cetera, and you just pointed out what you would say now in the case when someone said
Sure.
it was wonderfully phrased, and it's an art, and it's a practice art that you're doing of transcoding exactly how things should sound in the positioning energetically. By the words you use, you're positioning yourself energetically into a position of confidence and power. So when you tell someone there's someone better out there that could probably do this, but I could see your eyes move into some transcoding that, okay, this is the weak position, and you almost sometimes, I bet, have to stop yourself by going, don't say that.
Of
This is a
course.
better way to transcode it into, how can somebody, this is the most powerful question, because this is, I believe, the lesson of the playbook that I want everyone to learn.
Mm-hmm.
How can someone start to learn how to utilize that power that they own already to transcode not only what they think, not only what they say, not only what they do, but truly what they believe, into an empowered position, into one of confidence, so that they could be in the flow, maximize their acceleration and growth, so that things can come through them to help other people and live this more fulfilled, purposeful, passionate life like you're leading now?
We can't take an elephant down with, one hit. We need to, let's break it down into steps, because people get overwhelmed and they give up. Or I'm busy and I forgot. I know I was working on this confidence thing, but I've got a job to do and I have bills to pay. And I've been there. I get that. However, confidence is the one thing that will change everything. Make it a priority for 30 days. Anyone can do this. Hold yourself accountable. I wanted to write my second book, but I really didn't want to do it. But I wanted to do it. But you know what? I'm putting it on social media. Guys, I'm writing my second book. I just held myself accountable. I wasn't writing my second book yet, but now I had to. I had to show up every day. Someone in your life that you trust and respect, that loves you, that is a supporter, say to them, I'm going to hold myself accountable and I need you to help me too. Check in with me once a week. Here's what I'm working on. And then take those baby steps. If it's putting yourself first and you're not doing that, then each day working out is a priority to you. You're going to take that time. You're not going to say, I feel guilty. You're going to make yourself do it. I'm going to get a sitter to watch my child, and I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to show my child, this is how I want my child to lead his or her life. I'm teaching, but I'm showing that example of confidence. And when I create that, I can feel good about the parent I am as well. That was a major shift for me. So it's making those decisions, holding yourself accountable, giving yourself a timeline and goal, and creating that vision. If you have never been confident in your life and you say, I don't know what that looks like, then look at someone else out there in your life and say, this person represents confidence to me. Get that picture. Get a song to attach to that picture. My son and I call it getting in the zone, right? So, my son used Glorious for a while when he broke his leg, and he wanted to envision himself coming out on the court stronger than ever. And he used that song, and he would see himself. And so the day that he came back to the court, we played that music on the car ride there. He was so fired up that he killed it that game and was stronger than ever. But you have to create that. And it's not hard. It just takes those disciplines and that commitment. And if you don't have someone to hold you accountable, you can go to heathermonahan.com. I have a free accountability partner program that people can sign up for. You'll hear from me each day for 30 days, and I will be your partner to go through those steps with you. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's a choice.
I agree. You got to lower the bar, have an accountability partner. These have been extraordinary lessons, probably the most valuable that anyone can have. Confidence is one of the best lessons that we can have, and you are just the leader of teaching people and empowering them about confidence, which is such a gift, because my objective of life is to make people happy, and you can't be happy without confidence. I really believe that. One quick lesson for everyone as you listen to the playbook, just remember that all lessons will be forgotten at some time. It's just the power that we have to remember them. And we all have the power to remember them at any time. And I certainly will remember and replay this playbook, because I have taken a few gems away myself. And I love when I get to learn something. So thank you so much, Heather. Appreciate you coming on. Heather Monahan with David Meltzer here with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.